college years, I took a part-time job managing some low-rent apartments in an old building. There was one apartment, Unit 2B, that had been empty for almost a year. Tenants often complained about a cold, unsettling feeling near that door, especially at night. The hallway lights flickered constantly around that area, sometimes going out entirely, leaving the corridor in darkness. Along with this, a strange, faint metallic smell mixed with something sweet and spicy, like incense, would linger near the door. People said it made the air heavy, almost suffocating. I thought it was just the building's old wiring, or maybe some maintenance issue. One day, a man named Mr. Keller came to rent that unit. He was tall, pale, and always wore a long dark coat and a wide-brimmed hat, even on hot days. He was quiet, kept to himself, and didn't socialize with other tenants. But the strange atmosphere around 2B didn't change. If anything, it seemed to grow more intense, seemed harmless. But soon, other tenants began noticing odd things. He never invited anyone over, never made any noise, no TV, no phone calls, no footsteps. Yet, every evening, the thick smell of incense seeped out from under his door, filling the hallway with a strange, almost hypnotic scent. One neighbor told me she once saw Mr. Keller standing motionless in the hallway for nearly an hour, just staring blankly at the mailboxes. It wasn't reading or checking for letters, just staring. Another tenant said they heard low whispers in a language no one could understand coming from his apartment late at night. Mr. Keller never answered when people knocked or tried to talk to him. He simply smiled politely and said, "I prefer to be alone." I started to feel uneasy, as if there was something about him. And that apartment, that wasn't quite right. Something hidden beneath the surface. Asterisk. Not long after Mr. Keller moved in, strange complaints started pouring in from other tenants. They said they heard whispers coming from 2B late at night, soft voices arguing in a language no one could recognize. The voices were barely audible, like a distant murmur, but persistent enough to keep people awake. What baffled me most was that Mr. Keller lived alone. No one ever saw visitors or heard any footsteps. But strange things kept happening. At exactly 3:13 a.m. every night, the security cameras in the hallway would glitch or cut out completely. One tenant even swore she saw Mr. Keller standing outside her door at that precise time, smiling silently in the shadows. But when I reviewed the footage, there was never anyone there. The building seemed to hold its breath each night, as if waiting for something to happen at 3:13. I began to question if what we were dealing with was more than just a man living alone. One night, I received a frantic call from a tenant living across from 2B. He said that Mr. Keller had been standing in the hallway for over an hour, completely still, staring at the wall with an empty expression. The tenant was terrified, saying Keller didn't blink or move the entire time. I rushed down to see for myself, but when I arrived, the hallway was empty and silent. The security cameras showed no one there during that time either. Later, when I asked Mr. Keller about it, he smiled mysteriously and said, "Sometimes I sleepwalk." But his explanation didn't sit right with me. How could someone stand still for an hour without blinking? And why would the cameras miss it? That night marked a turning point for me. The building was no longer just old and creepy. It felt haunted, like something beyond human was watching us all. Asterisk. Didn't take long before things took a darker turn. After several months of strange behavior, one day the rent stopped coming from Mr. Keller's apartment, Unit 2B. Calls and knocks went unanswered. Tenants noticed his mailbox piling up with letters, bills, and unopened packages. No one had seen or heard from him in weeks. But what worried everyone more was the smell. That heavy, choking scent of incense grew stronger and changed somehow. It wasn't just the familiar sweet spice anymore. It turned rancid, sickly sweet, with undertones of decay and rust. The smell seemed to seep from under the door and into the hallway, spreading further with each passing day. People who lived near the unit complained of headaches, nausea, and feelings of suffocation when walking close to that part of the building. Some avoided the hallway completely, choosing longer routes to get to their apartments. Others said they could see a faint, shadowy figure sometimes standing just beyond the doorframe of 2B, disappearing when approached. Rumors circulated wildly. Had Mr. Keller died inside? Was there something trapped with him? Was this some kind of curse? None of us knew what to believe, but the building felt heavier, colder. We decided we had to find out the truth. I called the police to force entry and investigate what was really going on inside that cursed apartment. When the police finally arrived and forced open the door to Unit 2B, what we found was nothing short of terrifying. There, sitting in a dusty old chair, was Mr. Keller himself, pale, unmoving, eyes wide open in a frozen gaze of shock. He had clearly been dead for weeks. The room smelled of decay and incense mixed into a thick fog. His coat was draped around him like a shroud, and his hat sat firmly atop his head, as if he was waiting for something or someone. The autopsy report was inconclusive, but confirmed that his death had occurred at least 3 weeks earlier, matching the timeline of his disappearance and the strange happenings in the building. What terrified us most was the realization that all the strange phenomena, the whispers, the flickering lights, the cold spots, even the shadows that tenants had reported after his death, were happening when he was no longer alive. It was as if his spirit was trapped inside 2B, endlessly replaying his final moments. Some tenants refused to return to their apartments after that discovery. The building's atmosphere grew darker, heavier, almost suffocating. I stopped renting out that unit. No one wanted to live there anymore. But sometimes, when the lights flicker at exactly 3:13 in the morning, I swear I hear soft whispers coming from the hallway. The last tenant never really left. Asterisk, after the discovery of Mr. Keller's body, the strange events in the building didn't stop. They only grew worse. Tenants reported hearing footsteps echoing through the hallways at night, even when no one was there. Doors would creak open on their own, and the air around Unit 2B turned icy cold. One night, a tenant woke to find mysterious writing scrawled on their bedroom wall in what looked like ash or soot. The letters were indecipherable, but they gave off an eerie glow in the moonlight. Others saw shadowy figures flickering at the edges of their vision, just out of reach, vanishing when they tried to look directly. I tried to keep the building under control, but the fear was contagious. People stopped trusting each other. They locked their doors tight and refused to step into the hallway after dark. The smell of incense never left. It lingered like a reminder of what had happened. Some whispered that Mr. Keller's spirit was restless, trapped by some dark force that wouldn't let him move on. Others believed the building itself had become a gateway between worlds, between the living and the dead. Whatever it wasn't going away anytime soon. The building had become a place of shadows and whispers, a true nightmare for anyone who dared to live there. Eventually, the building was emptied out. Tenants moved away as fast as they could, unwilling to stay in a place so thick with fear and mystery. The landlord gave up trying to rent out Unit 2B, or even fix the flickering lights. One night, I stood outside the building alone, feeling the cold wind push against me. The windows were dark, the doors locked tight. But even from outside, I could smell it, the heavy, suffocating incense drifting on the night air. As I turned to leave, I heard a soft whisper on the wind, barely audible, like a voice calling my name. I didn't look back. That was years ago, but sometimes late at night, I still think about Mr. Keller and that cursed apartment. I wonder what truly trapped him there, and if the spirits are still waiting inside. Maybe some doors are meant to stay closed, and some stories are meant to remain untold.